Welcome to Rat Sound Review. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
That was a little fast, huh?
That was God damn.
I want to get the show going.
Speedy Gonzalez, or are we not allowed to say that?
You cannot say
name?
Speedy Gonzalez. Actually, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's erased now.
What? I'm going to say whatever the fuck I
along
want.
with
Pepe
Dumbo.
Le Pew, bitches.
Dumbo's
Bugs
gone.
Bunny,
Peter Pan's
nips to
gone.
nips.
Yeah, what's next? Maurice Chevalier?
What is that?
Oh, never mind. I guess he was already erased. He was what they based Pepe Le Pew after.
Oh, I had no idea. No clue. But Greg?
Yes.
We are now doing part 2.
Yes, part 2.
Coroner part 2, Electric
Part 2.
Boogaloo.
I actually do have the albums.
Ah, very nice.
Well, I only have
he's got
No More
Upstage
Color
Made.
on vinyl.
And I have it on Apple iTunes.
I have it too, but I think one of these are like they might both be like reissues, because one of them doesn't. This one doesn't really have like a booklet. No, this one doesn't really have like a booklet in it or anything.
They did re-release them within the past couple of years. Yeah.
But yeah. So go ahead, Greg. Since this is your band.
Yeah, so by
this.
1989, they start to change a little bit, and
yes,
it was a conscious decision of theirs to get. Well, there's really no better way to say it when they're as technical as they are, but get a little bit more simplistic. And they said it was purely a decision based on the fact that they started going on their first major American tours and world tours and things like that, and it was just they needed simpler stuff to be able to play on stage because it was very demanding to go out there and do it every night after night. Mm-hmm. So they evolve a little bit on No More Color, and it's some of the songs are a little bit, I suppose, catchier to I would say regular people on here because it follows a little bit more of a verse chorus verse thing like Last Entertainment, but it's still good and it's thrashy. It's just to me it's all catchy, even the crazy million miles an hour technical shit on Rest in Peace. But
yeah, that I find to be a bit more catchier. But go ahead.
There's still a lot of that here though. They were just transitioning a little bit, but I still think this is just as great as the first two. Yeah. Just a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. I mean, I like the first two albums a lot. I didn't think I really like them as much as I did, but when I started listening to this one, it was almost like not a huge shock because it's not that far off from those first two albums, but the production's better. Yes, so that's a little different.
It was done by Scott Burns at Morris Sound.
Oh, really? Okay.
The godfather of the death metal sound from Florida. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a good thing, but I just think I don't hate the album. I think they're obviously good musicians. It just the album I just don't like this as much as I like the first two.
I was kind of surprised because when you said that at first, because I was kind of expecting you to not like what follows, but yeah. Read My Scars, Tunnel of Pain, DOA, that it's not really all that different from what they were doing on Punishment for Decadence. I mean, it's kind of lost that jazzy feel to it and has more of a different type of groove to it at this point.
And that's what I think I miss about it. It doesn't have that uniqueness to it anymore. It seems that they're just trying to kind of mimic a lot of other bands that are doing the kind of same music at that time, and they kind of lost with their originality.
See, I don't hear it that way, though, because even though they did make it a little bit more simplistic, I mean, it's still distinctly Coroner to me. Like, you can interchange pretty much any Testament and Metallica song all day, but when it's Coroner, you're listening to Coroner, regardless of the record, I feel like. Marky with his lyrics and Tommy and Ron with the music, it's very distinctive, very powerful, very individual.
Yeah. You're right. The other thing too, I did not like, which is weird, but I didn't like how the way it's mixed. I mean, I like the way it's mixed, but the way the vocals sit with the mix, I think that's what really kind of bothered me a lot.
That's my one issue with this. They made Ron's vocals a little flat. The musical production is great. This is
Right.
actually probably the best production they had on an
Right.
album up to this point. I think so.
Yeah.
And so does Scott and Tommy. But yeah, his vocals come off almost a little flat
Yeah.
on quite a large part of this record, which is weird because it was always so direct and forceful.
Mm.
I mean, well, he's always kind of had a cold delivery. Coroner in general kind of does, actually. I think that fits the technicality.
Mm.
But
Lou?
I mean, to me, it's emotional. I get emotions out of it because I appreciate a lot of it, but I can see how it can be interpreted as cold and how that turns people off. But they're wrong. I just want them to know.
Lou?
I thought it was a total 180 from their first two official releases, not including the demo, but I did love the demo. But when I say a 180, I don't mean it as a bad thing. I mean, I thought it was a steady case of progression on them as musicians. And as far as being influenced from outside sources in the thrash world at the time, well, you can approach it one or two ways. You can approach it the Yngwie Malmsteen, Michael Schenker way, where you say you cut off all music at a certain point and only get influenced by the sounds that are in your head. But I personally think that that's actually the road to a musician's downfall, is not, engulfing yourself in what's going around at the time.
Right.
But it still sounds like Coroner to me. In fact, I think it sounded like a better Coroner, and that's not taking anything away from their first two albums. It's them, I think, finding their niche within that genre of thrash. I thought it was a great album, and my favorite songs from it were Die by My Hands, Read My Scars, and Tunnel of Pain. And DOA is up there too, but Tunnel of Pain, I mean, that's got some of the sickest sweet picking I've ever heard in a song.
Yes.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Is it my favorite Coroner album? No, that's yet to be named. But I loved it. I could see how this album set the pace for a lot of the technical progressive metal that came out, especially in the early 90s and as the 90s progressed. I could see it starting here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, and there's a ton of like Swiss and then Swedish death metal bands too, like Eluvite, that wouldn't exist if it weren't for Coroner.
Probably not even them.
Opeth wouldn't sound the same. Their reach is really amazingly so far and wide.
Well, I could see it influencing also stuff like Cynic, Atheist, and maybe even Death from 95 onward.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see Coroner fitting into fitting their way into that sound. So yeah, good on them.
It's funny. My favorite song over here is the last song, "Last Entertainment."
That's a good one.
I knew it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a very catchy instrumental thing. I like that.
It's not my favorite, and even though it's different, I still hold it on par with the first two.
Why would you think that was
It's a
my
great
favorite
album.
song?
Because it has a real catchy chorus and it's easy to remember.
You know me too well.
Yeah, got Sean Cassidy over here.
Wayne, writer of the 20-minute 2-chord song.
Hey, whatever gets me my paycheck at the end of the day.
If you could do that and pull it off, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing the show right now, honestly. Mental Vortex. Give us some back information on that.
Before we...
What?
Just one thing. I thought that was friggin' Lee Harvey Oswald. I didn't realize it was Anthony Perkins from Psycho. So just had to get that there.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that either.
Oh yeah, I mean they sample the Psycho part on the album at
I
one
didn't.
point.
I didn't
You,
realize.
you guys didn't put all that
Well, no,
together.
I saw the album cover first before I listened to it. Then I put it
Oh,
together. So
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was somebody in the band. I don't know. What the hell do I
I
know?
I apologize, Greg. Go ahead. Just
I'm
had to
glad I'm
get
not
that
the
out
only
there.
one.
no, big changes on this one, and this is where they kind of started to get fed up with each other a little bit. Just some dysfunction going on in the band, and being pressed by Noise Records and things like that. But Marky wanting to simplify and go a different way, and Tommy wanting to evolve in his own way, and it not always quite matching up. It was a difficult album for them to record, but still a very good one. And again, Morris sound, great production. On this one, this is the only one that I love a lot that I still consider a 10 out of 10 that manages to lose me a little bit in some of the grooves. They're still essentially following that same Coroner formula, but the fast parts and the groove parts don't always kind of match up as precisely on this as they did the first three albums. You can tell they were in a direct metamorphosis into something else, which I think they came full circle on the next one. But this is still a really good record. He still rips off some of his best guitar work on here. Marky sounds great. Ron's always awesome, and his vocals sound stronger here again. They don't have that weird flat quality, so I like that a lot. And then you got stuff like Son of Lilith and Divine Step and Metamorphosis and what's number 7? About Life. That one's my favorite song off of
Mine
here.
too. Mine too.
Just a brutal track, man. That really harkens back to Rest in Peace. The way it rips out of there. I love that song.
All right, well, I'll let you talk about this album.
Well, Greg pretty much said all I had to say about it. I thought it was a progression from the previous album. And for me, that's what I want out of a band. I want to see them, get better. I don't think you risk melody or talent when you no, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Just because a band is melodic and catchy, they could still maintain their technical abilities. And again, part of the reason why I like this one so much was because, again, it was progressing from the previous one, which is what I usually want out of a band. And I really thought to top it off with a Beatles cover at the end.
Oh yeah.
And I know how you feel about cover songs, but once again, Oh, okay.
If it's done right.
I apologize. You said it wasn't. You said you don't like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, no.
But right, so okay, I stand corrected. But I thought it was once again them putting their spin on a classic song. This time they chose the Beatles, and I thought they killed it.
It was Tom Morris's idea. Actually, they were short a song for the record, and he had always wanted to hear a good heavy version of "I Want You, She's So Heavy" by the Beatles.
They got it.
and he felt Coroner was the first band he ran across that could pull it off, and he was totally right. Yeah, it's great. I love the cover, and like you were saying, Lou, the progression here is great. I love the progression it shows, and when I said what I said about the grooves, just because it makes it my least favorite of all their studio albums doesn't mean I don't like it or it's bad.
Right.
It's just,
it's like it's like for every album that you give a 10 out of 10, just because you pick your least favorite song doesn't mean you don't love the song. It just means, like it's the one song that not even skip, but it's just like, I've heard many people say that a song is their least favorite on the album, but they still love it and they still listen to it. It happens. Why am I explaining this?
I don't know. And it's weird. You think I hate covers? We have done a couple covers.
No. I corrected myself. You said you hated Jimi Hendrix, not covers. I apologize.
You know what's funny about that though? Well, this time it's Jimi Hendrix, but you have mentioned you don't like other covers of certain artists before.
Hmm.
But it's funny because you always specify. But Lou and then Nate before him and Troy before Nate have all said that to you at some point. Oh, you don't like cover songs? I'm like, what
Call,
does he have to phrase differently about what? Anyway, yeah.
Greg, call it Mandela effect. I made a mistake. Kind of like when I called the guitar. What did I call? What did I call Tommy last week? I called him Robbie. So like, yeah, I mean, I goof people. I'm human. Bite me, okay?
No,
Jeez.
nothing beats the time I went to yell overkill and yelled out over Smith.
That was the funniest shit I think we've ever had. And I had to make a little picture out of it too, which you still
Oh
use on
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
That was funny shit. But actually, the one song that I like off of this whole album is the cover song of the Beatles song. I just could not get into this album at all.
But Wayne, you said you hated covers. I'm just kidding.
Lou, you're fired.
Oh, bye.
I would have thought you might have at least liked About Life, but that's cool.
I tried,
Yeah.
man. It's just I feel like this band has downgraded since those first two albums, and it sucks.
Really?
It sucks to say that because
And
I like them so much. And
and what's funny about that is that statement that fans that would come to their concerts. That's what, in a large part, also led to them wanting to not be quite as technical, because instead of just seeing people out in the audience rocking out, people would come and take notes and then give them shit about if they didn't play it exactly like it was on the record.
and I hate when people they love a certain band and they only like the first two albums because after that they change, and I like change, but the change has to be good, and I don't think they changed for the good.
Well, I was telling Greg this yesterday that, I love the first Warning, Rage for Order, Operation Mindcrime, Empire, and the EP. So I like the first 5 Queensryche releases.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But after Empire, they lost me. Like,
right.
maybe I lost the plot as a fan, or
No,
maybe
I think they did.
Okay, so we're agreement on that. But I mean, that's just the thing. Like, for me, I want progression from a band. Like,
Right.
I don't want them to release the same album over and over
neither
again.
do I.
Unless they're AC/DC, then they get a pass.
Yeah.
Because, AC/DC is awesome. But the point is, it's like, if I want to listen to the way a band sounded like, I'll pop in their first album.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear a band grow. I want to hear them, get better as musicians. I want to hear them get better as songwriters. I'm sorry, I don't think that's a lot to ask of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in that regard, Coroner does not disappoint me. So, again, just my opinion.
But there's I was thinking of other bands that have changed so much, and it did not work for them. Like one of the biggest ones, Paradise Lost.
Yeah, I mean, Year of Summer was a great song, but it does not sound like Draconian Times at all.
No, not at all. But then they also went digital and did that album Host. Not one metal thing about it on anything on that whole album. And
isn't that the album with Year of Summer?
Is it? I don't know.
Might be. I don't remember.
I turned it. I had the first song on. I'm like, "What is this?" And I turned it off immediately. I couldn't listen. I never even listened to the whole album. Terrible.
Oh.
But they had a few albums like that, But then they finally got back on track or whatever. But even like Megadeth, because a lot of this band, like the early beginnings of this band, remind me a lot of Megadeth. How they first started, and then like when we did the other show last week with
John.
with John, with So Far So Good So What. It's kind of like that, Megadeth did that album. It didn't sound like those first two albums, and I think it's kind of like Coroner. They, did those first two really great albums, and then they went on. They tried to get their Coroner sound, but I think they just kept evolving it too much. They changed with that last one, with No More Color. This another drastic change, and then when we get to the next album, it's even more of a drastic change.
Oh, you're gonna hate what I'm gonna say about it, Wayne.
Oh, I know you will. There's just too many changes so fast for me. But all right, let's go to the next album. Grin.
Yes. I suppose you can call it industrial if you want, because it is kind of in that area a little bit. But to me, just a perfect masterpiece, a perfect progression for them. I love it. It's a great record. I do have one complaint about the fact that some of the drum tracks don't quite sound finished.
Mm.
But then after seeing the documentary, this is true. The head of Noise Records, whose name escapes me right now. Oh, but a little background. They had almost broken down and stopped talking to each other completely, Marky and Tommy, at this point. They weren't getting along, and
I think that reflects in the music.
Yeah.
A lot.
So they booked him the studio time, Noise Records did, and they sent him in to record it. And the head of the record company went on holiday, comes back 3 weeks later, and they're still recording drum tracks because Marky just can't get it to Tommy's satisfaction. So he had a flip out on him. Was pissed, took them off the project, and took and completed the record and put it out.
Oh, wow.
Because of how much time they had taken to do it. So the drum tracks aren't quite finished, which I really like the primitive yet robotic feel of this. Also, best album ever that has a didgeridoo on it. Like, come on. Great fucking idea.
I actually saw a band once they used the didgeridoo live on stage. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, they when they do stuff that has it in here, when I saw them, the guy that does the keyboards and the synths, I think he's got it in his sampler box, but he's really good at what he does and real technical too. So, but yeah, I love this from beginning to end.
Well, I'm
Serpent
actually shocked.
moves, Status Still Thinking, Grin's a great song. Host kind of meanders a little bit at the end. It could end a little bit sooner, but Paralyzed Mesmerized is one of my favorite songs they've ever done. That's just, you don't even know it's 8 minutes long. It's just great from beginning to end. Everything about it is awesome. And I just think this is the perfect climax of their evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, you sent in the messenger thing earlier today. You told me listen to Status Still Thinking, and asked me if I still think it's not that catchy or whatever. And I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah, I just thought you might like that one because of how it's set up.
Yeah. No, I tried. This one, out of these three, this one is the better one. I will agree with you on that one. And even it's mixed even better too. I think the overall sound of the album is even better. I like the song "Grin." That's my favorite song off of this one.
Awesome to see them do live.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's still, again, it's a bit of a disappointment because this album is more groove oriented than anything. There's no speed stuff on here. There's no thrashy things on here at all, really. And it's just groove
some
and
of the solos.
heavy. It's more some of them, but this is a more heavy metal album than it is a thrash album or whatever. Lou.
Status Still Thinking is actually my favorite song on the album. So to get that out of the way, and of the 5 full lengths of Coroner that we reviewed, it's my favorite of the 5. So
really,
I guess the album that I compared it to the most wasn't a Coroner album. It was Death's Sound of Perseverance. I compared it to that in terms of like its production, in terms of the setup of the songs, and as a fan of jazz fusion, bands that do incorporate a technical sound to them, it just really spoke to me. Like, is it the greatest Coroner album? No, compared to the first 4 that we heard, I still have to say that each album is special on its own. But for me, Grin was my favorite one that we listened to. As a fan of that kind of music, I just really appreciated when a band, and not knowing what you said, Greg, that at this point they were at each other, like at a point where they were ready to kill each other and where they were ready to kill their record label. I had no idea about that. So I'm speaking strictly as a fan of the music alone, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Oh,
And yeah,
oh yeah. There's this one story that Marky tells though, where they literally spend a whole 8 hour day in the studio with him just playing the same basic beat over and over again with his headphones taped to his head with gaffer's tape. And then everything was done, and Tommy came downstairs, and he basically said something along the lines of, "Yeah, we're going to need you to do that part again." So
oh my
Marky threw a
God.
pizza at him, and then he jumped on him, and they were rolling around, and the engineer had to go run and get Ron to break him up.
I'm just curious what the discussion with the record label president of Noise Records, what he said. I gave you guys a budget of $5. That's it. I mean, who knows what Noise was paying their
I
artists if they were paying them at all.
Yeah, I don't know if the figure he gave for what they rented the studio for the time was accurate or whatever, but I mean, they got it because someone else canceled, and usually when they cancel you at the time or at certain times, you'll get it at a better price
Yes,
because you
after
can
midnight.
fill it in. So, um, you know, who knows if it really costs as much as he claimed, or if he was just pissed off because they didn't complete it in what he thought should be proper recording time for a metal album, which is bullshit because Tommy really hones his production skills here. This album sounds great, and it's
Yeah.
just as precise as the other stuff.
Yeah,
But it's a treat seeing them live now that they've reunited and everything, and they've had that 15, 20 years in between to kind of almost get better at playing this, because now they've kind of reached this medium where it brings together their two different styles when they play the songs from the different eras on stage. And it's really cool. And when they do songs from Grin Live, Marky did the faster drumming. He would make up better parts to it look more expanded than it is on the record.
Mm.
And but like Tom Warrior has said, the biggest deficit of the Coroner reunion is definitely that they haven't done a new album yet. Last year they said they were working on it. Hopefully it comes out this year. Now that Marky has left and has given his blessing to the guys to go on with the new drummer, who is great. Hopefully it'll finally get done, because Marky had no interest in recording new music. I just worry about the lyrics and the image, because that was always what he did before.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I hope
Oh,
they don't continue. What?
I skipped the compilation.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that next.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah. I kind of jumped way ahead there.
It's all right. I thought you were still going, so it's all right.
Oh, and Tommy ended up playing guitar for a pop musician. Well, he kind of plays all kinds of different styles, and at the time in the '90s, he was kind of doing the alt rock thing. And Tommy was available during the 6 months corner. Didn't do anything after Grin before. No, the funeral tour was after the compilation. Anyway, he ended up playing with him because he had seen a video of Coroner playing, and he thought they were great. So he played with him for a while, but they did a TV appearance for a show that Stanley was on. And when he asked them what they were going to do before the show, they said, "Oh, we're going to get up early in the morning, take LSD, and go to Disneyland," because they were in Paris. So they went to Disneyland tripping, and then went and filmed a couple songs from Grin for a TV show. And they play it spotlessly, too. It's crazy.
But yeah, like you said, hopefully they have the new album out, and I hope they don't continue in the Grin direction. I hope they add a little bit of everything from their whole career. I just hope they don't stick into one genre. That's all I hope. So, what about the compilation now?
The compilation came about because they still owed Noise one more record. So Tommy basically wrote and arranged the 4 new tracks on his own, and the remixes and whatnot. But just gave the guys the notes and then recorded it with them. They released it, and then they did the funeral tour, which oddly enough was advertised as the last tour, which they really didn't plan on at first, but they felt it better for everyone because they just weren't agreeing musically anymore, and they didn't want to hurt the legacy of the band. So it was a killer tour, though. If you ever see any video online, great shows. I think the compilation serves like at the end of a book as a good epilogue to their career. To that point, sans the new album, if there is one. But.
So there was 4 new songs on the compilation?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to get the compilation.
Yeah, I didn't bring that CD out with me, unfortunately. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head.
I thought it was just the compilation of all the stuff off all the albums, but I'll have to pick it up. So what direction were those new songs in? Were they still in the Grin vein, or were they something different?
The same as Grin, but a little more cleaned up and a little bit more electronic, because Grin's pretty primitive sounding, really. I feel like. I mean, it's done really well and produced excellently, but
cool. I'll have to check that out.
Which is kind of the direction he was going in, because he was getting bigger into production and things like that at the time. And then later on, he would join Creator.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he was
actually, Millet approached him at the final show of the funeral tour, which was in Essen, Germany in 1996.
Very cool. Lou, you got anything else to say about Coroner?
Great band. My biggest regret is that I only discovered them because Greg recommended them. I wish I had discovered them earlier. Like I said,
so this I didn't notice. Your first time ever hearing all this?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and
That's
Greg,
crazy.
I want to thank you for turning me on to an awesome band. Good on you, sir. Thank you. And
You're welcome.
I just, you know what? Like, I regret that I didn't hear this before, because I think this probably would have influenced my own writing, even playing style back then. But you know what? I might be 40, but I ain't dead yet, and I'm still writing stuff on my own. And who knows? Maybe this might influence me to write something, similar in the vein where I could say, yeah, that was because of Coroner, and that was because of Greg. So thanks, buddy.
At least Greg
You're
did
welcome.
something right.
I'm glad you like them.
Yeah, good stuff.
As much as I do. They're awesome. Also, how awesome of a guy is Tom Warrior? Sings and writes the lyrics for their demo, recommends 3 awesome bands to Noise Records that are all signed: Coroner, Voivod, and Watchtower, and Celtic Frost, Triptychon. Tom, you're awesome.
He's awesome. You're so awesome that you should come on the show and talk about it.
Definitely.
Right,
I think
right,
so.
Lou?
You know what I would love to ask about Tom Warrior? I think he was actually the curator for the Giger Museum.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I'd love to ask him about that, because Alien is one of my favorite films, and just to ask him what it was like, just would have been
so much to talk to him about. He's a very cool guy.
Oh yeah,
the shit that he's done.
That would be amazing. There are so many different things, because he's just such a multifaceted person.
Mm-hmm.
And same with if we could get Tommy from Coroner, even, or Ron, or any of them.
That would be awesome. The crazy thing is, when I was working at Viacom, part of my job on the overnights was making sure that every episode of Headbangers Ball aired without a hitch, because every Saturday night it was a new episode. So we wanted to make sure that the interview segments were, QC'd beforehand, and that the videos were in house. And I tell you, we played when Celtic Frost released an album. I think it was sometime in the mid-2000s, and we played that video weekly. And it was great to see Celtic Frost on MTV2. I really thought that it was going to be the beginning of a new chapter of their career, but it was unfortunate that right after that album, that tour, that was it. But, Tom Warrior, again, one of those guys where, he earned his keep in the world of music, so he could do whatever the hell he wants. He earned that right.
And Triptychon is great, too.
Oh, yeah, I love them. Yeah. They're good.
But, yeah, I love Monotheist. That's one of my favorite Celtic Frost records. I thought that was great. That's that's the best possible way you can do a reunion, not just even come back and do everything from before just as great, but to come back and make just such an awesome reunion album. Fuck you all. We're gonna show you how to do it.
This is how the big boys do it. That's exactly what they did.
I remember when that came out, I immediately went out and bought that. I even remember where I bought it.
Just like I will do with Coroner's new album when it comes out, hopefully this year.
I know in my college radio days, we were serviced with Apollyon Sun. I think that's how it was pronounced.
Yes. Yeah. Which Marky was their drummer. Unfortunately, he left the band, and that never ended up coming out. Other than a demo, I believe.
And that's probably what happened. I think it might have been released on Deadline Cleopatra Records. And aside from the Birthday Massacre, can't really think of much quality stuff that's on that label. Again, just an opinion. Don't get offended.
All right, I guess we'll be taking off that promo list.
Wannabe pseudo goths? What? Who said
that? Could be. I mean, I just have no frame of reference. I'm just going to assume you're telling the truth because they've never. I've seen a few things on their label, but I've never heard anything that made me want to buy anything else. So.
Fair enough.
But even though I like a lot of goth stuff, like actually, even though they weren't at the best place for creativity, certainly not for aggression, I do like the two Creator albums that Tommy plays on.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really cool of him that he was able to step aside and just kind of be a side man to Melee at the time, although on Outcast, they definitely didn't make the right decisions throughout the whole album. I respect what they were trying to do, but that wasn't the greatest. However, Endorama, the one they did in '99, is a masterpiece. That is a great album. Him and Tommy really connected on that, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's all right. It's still a little disappointing. Again, it's another band that tried a lot of different things throughout their career, and then just a couple things that just did not.
I love British goth like Bauhaus and shit like that.
Oh, I love Bauhaus.
Yeah. I tried. All right. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about just in general before we get out of here?
Not particularly.
Well, I'm happy to announce one thing, and Wayne, you saw my Instagram on this, but I'm very happy to say that on eBay I found these gems: Headless Cross,
nice,
Tier, and Cross Purposes.
Nice. All bootlegs.
No, not all bootlegs. No, they are original pressings, and I even. To make sure that they were not bootlegs, I made sure that the barcodes worked. So, very happy to say that I own.
They're really good nowadays. They can work.
I know. This is true. But I'm very happy to say I now own 3 of the 4 Tony Martin era Black Sabbath albums. So
very good, Will. I congratulate you.
I think you'd have to pay me to own Forbidden, but that's.
You're gonna have to. You got to own one of the versions, right? They re-released it, right? Not too long ago, remixed, remastered, or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'll ever buy it again. I mean, there's a couple of things on that I like, but
are we talking about Forbidden?
Forbidden, yeah.
Did they re-release it? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have plans to. I'm not 100% if it came out yet. Got to be honest, kind of dropped the ball on that one because I don't really like the record. Like I said, there's a couple of things I like on it, and it's still Tony Iommi, but that's a pretty boring one. I love Eternal Idol, though. I gotta get Cross Purposes again someday. And Tier. Headless Cross would probably be the last one I get. That one's okay, but it sounds too much like Black Sabbath trying to be Black Sabbath. Mostly Tony Martin with overdoing it with the fucking evil shit in the vocals. Took it too far.
You gotta admit, though, When Death Calls is a masterpiece of a song with a great guitar solo by Brian May. I love that song.
It was
that's a great song. Yeah.
The remix is done. It's been done since last year, but they're waiting for the right time to re-release it. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
It's done.
but
But
to piggyback on what Greg was saying, Forbidden was a contractual obligation to IRS just to get them out of the contract. And shortly after that, they announced the reunion with Ozzy at Ozfest. So, yeah,
we should do a Tony Martin era Black Sabbath. I think that he does not get enough recognition for the albums that he was on at all.
he
I'm not
does.
too familiar with the Black
I
Black
don't
Sabbath
think
era,
he
but
does either. But there's been quite a bit written on the subject, though. I mean, there's plenty of references and whatnot.
I mean, yeah, it's gotten to a point. Well, here's the truth of the matter. This much I know. Ozzy owns 50% of the Black Sabbath name. Tony Iommi owns the other 50%. Ozzy only owns the 50% because he put an injunction on Tony Iommi saying that he doesn't want anything to be Black Sabbath related unless he gives the okay on it. Which is why when Heaven and Hell did their reunion, they didn't call it Black Sabbath because since it had nothing to do with Ozzy, he legally couldn't call it that. Although fans knew that it was Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
In terms of the Tony Martin era, yeah, that's pretty much all been erased. Either, and I don't want to speculate, but I wouldn't put it past Sharon Osbourne to, put the kibosh on it. I wouldn't, again, what she would get out of it, I don't know. But if Ozzy doesn't have his name on it, obviously the Osbournes don't get a paycheck from it. And we all know that Sharon's gonna freaking push Ozzy to tour until the moment he drops dead on stage. So, yeah, you guys could say what you want. I have no fucking love for Sharon Osbourne. I'm sorry. I really don't.
keeping this with the Black Sabbath subject here before we leave, I saw something on Blabbermouth the other day about Geezer Butler
I couldn't believe that.
showing Ronnie James Dio the devil horns gesture, and he's the one that started it, not Ronnie James Dio.
I mean, Ronnie says he got it from his Italian grandmother.
Yeah, the evil eye, man.
Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking, Geezer, you might have had a little bit too much tofurkey, or either a little too much Guinness.
Oh wait,
But
there's an update. I didn't see this because I didn't read the whole thing. Actually,
breaking.
breaking news. Where's that sound? And I'm reading this on Blabbermouth. So after Blabbermouth published this article earlier today, Geezer Butler took to his Twitter to clarify that he did not say he invented the devil horn sign. I always used it in the song Black Sabbath. He wrote, I merely shared it on stage, a moment between Ronnie and him. And Ronnie made it famous, and it will always be associated with him, regardless of what anyone says. Also, I do not want people to think that I was dissing Ronnie in any way. He was one of my dearest friends ever, and I will always miss him and our friendship. So, all right. So, forget that whole thing then.
All this and Morley Schaefer next on 60 Minutes.
Breaking news, Ronnie James Dio comes back from the dead to say, Geezer, you fucking asshole. How dare you talk shit about me?
His hologram is so pissed right now.
I think he'd be more upset by the hologram.
Yeah, I think so too. But all right. I guess that's it for now.
Yep.
Yes, it is, but it's been a fun couple weeks.
It has
one of my favorite bands. I really enjoyed talking about this stuff.
And next week we're doing the discography on Men Without Hats. You can dance if you want to.
You can leave your friends behind. I love the Men Without Hats. And then after that we can do Celtic Frost. And then Voivod, because Way actually plays drums on a Men Without Hats album.
Really?
Is this a fact?
Yes, Sideways from 1991. But that is a really long story, and we will talk about that on a Voivod-based episode.
Well, if there's one thing I learned about Canadian musicians is that A, they're nice people, and B, they seem to get along with each other regardless of genre. So that's one thing they have over most other countries. So
that's a good thing. All right. Well, Lou, what's going on with your show?
Well, I'm right now in the middle of editing 2 episodes at once, because they're video episodes as well as audio ones. So I'm doing that. I got 2 interviews lined up for this Sunday, which will actually be the 14th of March by the time we're recording this, just to give people some context. And I have a couple of other interviews lined up after that. So it's funny, I'm going to go from 3 to 10 more episodes in probably 1 week, and people go, wait a minute, I can't keep up. But, For me, it's about quantity of episodes, but it's also quality of the episodes. I want to make sure that this is something good for people to enjoy watching. So I'm actually putting in more photographs and videos to provide context for the people that I'm interviewing. So, I'm trying to make it good, trying to help build the name of Rat Style Review and Music is Life podcast. Wayne and Greg are my boys, and hey, man, let's take this as far as it can go. Let's stratosphere. Let's do it.
Do it.
Fucking A.
Hell yeah.
Let's reach for the stars.
And if we fall flat on our faces, I hope we land on somebody we hate and kill them.
Watch out,
That's
Sharon Osbourne,
right.
you bitch. All right.
Keep away from the digital bitch.
I love that album.
Me too. My favorite Black Sabbath record, but that's a story for another day.
We'll get to it. We have to at some point, right? All right,
Yes.
everybody, please go to ratsaladreview.com. And as Lou says, you can listen to his show on our network and also on his own network as well on Anchor or pretty much everywhere, right?
Yes,
Music is
iTunes,
Life.
Amazon, and also, again, please like and subscribe to Rat Style Review on YouTube and also my channel, Music is Life Podcast. Wayne, just one thing.
What?
And you always put Music is Life Podcast beneath my name, and I
Not
really
anymore.
do. Oh, you don't?
Not
Okay,
anymore.
because I'm officially part of the Rat Style Review
Yeah, that's why it's done.
team. So, okay. I was gonna say thank you for doing that. So,
But yeah. So I figured you always put your stuff at the end anyway, so just more work for me, so I stopped doing it.
yeah. Why would I want to make life harder for you?
No. But yeah, please go subscribe to Lou's channel. Get him some more subscribers on there, please. He needs them desperately.
I want to fix my basement, make it a studio. God damn it!
Yes,
Donate.
please. Got to get him up there.
Donate to Rat Salad. Donate to Music is Life.
Yes, please. And I there is a donation thing. If you're listening to this, on the description of the video, there's a donation. If you want to send us a good donation, you don't have to, obviously. But if you would be so kind to, you can please send it to the email address. What was that?
I don't know, but buy a
That
shirt,
dog
people.
coming out of the cage.
Yes, and please buy a dog. buy a shirt.
Buy
No.
a dog.
Don't
Yeah,
buy
buy a dog. Go for it.
Adopt a dog. Buy a Rat Style Review T-shirt.
Exactly. And ratsaladreview.com, and we will see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Toodaloo.